Good morning. My name is Omar Mohanna. I'm ECES chairman, and I'd like to thank, in fact, each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are delighted that you really managed to make it and to participate in this very special event. Do you hear me? Okay. I'd like to welcome my honored guests, the Honorable Ambassador Jess, Dutton, Ambassador of Canada to Egypt, and General Hamza Darwish, Assistant to the Minister of Local Development, and Marie-Louise Beshara, Board Member of the National Council of Women. Most important, in fact, I'd like to thank the Canadian Embassy for supporting the implementation of this work, which comes under ECES agreement with the National Council of Women. Allow me to tell you a few words about ECES. It is a non-profit think tank that conducts specialized economic research, drawing on international experience and constructive discussions among various stakeholders, including mainly policymakers. Its strategic direction, in brief, is combining economic growth, sustainable development, and social justice with very special emphasis on ensuring equal opportunities. Today in this gathering, we are launching the Egyptian Women Entrepreneurship Guide, and I would like to focus on the effort that has been done to produce such a valuable and informative work. This step-by-step guide was designed to provide support to entrepreneurs and help them start with the necessary steps to establish their own business. Although the guide is meant for women, but it is, of course, to be used by all. I will not talk too much about the guide, as in the following session, our ECES team will give a detailed presentation about it. Having said that, I don't want to take much of your time, and I need to leave some time for my guests to introduce themselves before giving the floor to Marie-Louise Beshara. She's here to represent, as I said, the board of the National Council of Women, as Dr. Maya Morsi is traveling and couldn't join us today. Welcome again on behalf of the ECES board, ECES members, and staff, and I hope we'll have interesting discussions. Marie-Louise.
Good morning. On behalf of Dr. Maya Morsi, I want to thank ECES for the MOU that has been signed, and thank you for establishing the training that has been done the past months in Damietta. Also, Mr. Ambassador, thank you for the support of the Canadian Embassy through the Canadian companies. And maybe I can give you a small word about what the Council is doing and the plans that we have for the next few months. If you may wish, I will talk in Egyptian. It will be easier for me, so maybe you can put your...
Good morning. I represent the Council as the head of the Rural Council Committee and also a deputy in charge of the Economic Committee in the Council. Under the strategy concerning women that has been prepared in the last 2 years, our objective is to get into the governorates in Egypt to train women. We've been doing the scanning through Dr. Abdel Latif for the past 2 years. We knew, of course, what are the special needs and requirements of women, starting from the north to the south, and even the border areas. The studies proved that as to agriculture, around 75% of the Egyptian farmers are ladies, are women. So the crops which we use in Egypt and which are exported are all crops that have been harvested by Egyptian women farmers. We have around 4,000 rural leaders. These women pioneers, we are going to deal with them because they are the link communication. Part of the work that we've undergone through our committees, the Scientific Research Committee with the Rural Committee of Women and the Economic Committee. The Egyptian cotton was highlighted because Egypt used to have a problem concerning cotton export. The extra long staple cotton was lagging this. The lagging was due to the reason that there was certain contamination that took place through the harvesting of cotton. So we started our initiative with different ministries, the Ministry of Irrigation, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Prime Minister himself was involved, the President was involved. Egypt used to harvest 150,000 fidans. 2 years ago there were about it increased to 650,000, and through the Raida Rifea, all pioneers of women, we had a special training for women through a special program that has been conducted in cooperation with the Research Center for Cotton in the Faculty of Agriculture. We also had a cooperation protocol with the UNIDO and institutions across the globe. We started taking certain field studies concerning choosing certain villages and try our best to honor the luxury goods of global demand. We need the Egyptian skirt to have the logo like Gucci and Louis Vuitton, or I mean whatever. So we started to put this objective. We wanted to have an edge with the extra long staple cotton through the agricultural products inside the Delta. We are now working with a new program where the conventional agriculture is being transformed to organic agriculture. And through working in this field, we start to develop women in all fields. We present her health services. Because, you know, rural women may be facing this problem of not having a package that is ready-made. She goes, she deals with the Nile water, she deals with other on the ground field problems. So the Health Committee in the National Council for Women prepared a full protocol for rural women. And we'll have caravans where there will be blood tests, analysis, trainings concerning the risk hazards and any sort of industrial safety, cement, fertilizers, risks, all that. So we are going to start working with this special program in the next 3 months together, coinciding with the season of crop of cotton harvesting. So this program with the ILO also for financial inclusion was very important, and all other programs that to make them able to go from the informal economic sector to the formal economic sector. We've been preparing, Dr. Abdel has been preparing with the ILO training and easy loans with good grace periods to change the agricultural waste to be profit centers for women, so that women can buy machines and equipment for biogas and so on. There's a full program. I'm speaking about the projects, definitely, that I'm involved in. Illiteracy also. We also give women psychological support concerning social behavior and so on. In these regions, I hope that will go on with you, of course, the same work that we've been working before, and to replicate this in other governorates. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Marie, for this for sharing with us this very impressive experience. You've gone everywhere in Egypt, apparently. So. And now I'd like to give the floor to General Darwish, the Assistant to the Minister of Economic Development. سيادة اللواء، تفضل.
thanking you and thanking the organizers of this conference. And I am representing the Minister of Local Development, Abu Bakr Genzi, but because of emergency circumstances, he couldn't be with us today. But he is conveying his greetings and wishing you a fruitful conference. In the name of God, the merciful, the benevolent, ladies and gentlemen, at first I would like to thank and express appreciation for the organizers of this event, which is emanating from the importance of the role of women in the community, and without the role of the women, the life could not be working well. Women are half of the community, and providing them the opportunity to share, this is economic smartness, and it's very important to improve the outcomes of development, and this enhances the factory for improving the livelihood of people. And for that reason, the encouragement of political, economic and social participation of women, and building an integrated economy where women have a very good role. The participation of women in development is based mainly on increasing their participation in all the social and economic and political aspects, as well as enhancing the role in building her local community and setting her priorities through local councils that are elected at the level of each administration in all parts of the republic, and that where the women participate efficiently and effectively. The Constitution of the year 2014 has set a whole chapter on guaranteeing the decentralization and dependence, and the law organizes the means of enablement of the different administrative units, as well as providing the different administrative units for women, and quarter of the seats in local councils for youth below the 35 years old, and fourth of this number for women, in addition to the development that will be observed by the citizens after adoption of the new local development law from the parliament, as well as the role for the youth in administering the municipalities and for making the priorities of their projects. Looking to the specializations of the local councils that are elected in the new constitution, we find a bigger role for the follow-up of the development plan and monitoring the different activities, as well as the practices of monitoring on the executive agencies. Also, the members of the local councils are not all qualified for the social work. So, the ministry, in cooperation with the Ministry of Youth and Ministry of Social Solidarity, has developed a training program for those who want to be candidates for the local councils in order to motivate their communication needs, as well as enhancing the needs that are being fulfilled for the citizens. Also, the local councils are trying to enable women in all aspects of life, whether economic or social or political, as well as improving their role in general. The most important of which are the Human Development Project, and this is a program in our ministry. It is called Mashrua, and this aims to enable the women and youth in all governorates of the Republic, because Mashrua program has provided 900,000 projects with 3.8 for as a fund, and providing 68,000 job opportunities and about 272 job opportunities during 2014 and until 2017. And the share of women of these projects was about 40%. The second project in the ministry is the Local Development Fund, which has provided a big number of loans which seek to give more chances for women to work, and it offered about 8,000 and 11,000, 9,000 projects, more job opportunities, in addition to improving the families, the circumstances, in order to offer some facilitation projects, and 11,930 families at the level of the Republic. All also some teams have been formed for the social and economic development, and so the representation of women is more than 45% of the members of those teams. Also, the participation of women in the participation of local development, where there are many economic forums at Minya and Fayoum, Sohag, Ismailia governorates, and the participation of women in the councils of the forum are about 33% of the total of its members. And also, the women has participated in guiding administration and in the execution of any project by any donors, in participation with the Ministry of Local Development. Example, the project of the Economic Development Project in Minya Governorate, where the representation of women in this forum was about 50%. Or the new program of the ministry, which is the local development at the Upper Egypt in the governorates of Sohag and Kina. The economic forum has been formed in each governorate, and all citizens, and most of them have participated with about $50 million, about $500 million as a loan from the World Bank, and with the contribution of the government of Egypt. And also the Ministry of Local Development is trying with all the other relevant ministries for the economic and political reform, and this should be reflected on similar reforms on the local levels. And so we should work together for building a local system that reflects the needs of the citizens and their interests, and also enhances the local democratic community that participates with women in the development of the republic. Democracy is not only political, it's also a democracy that is developmental, and it means participating the biggest share of the citizens in the different development aspects. And so we are trying to achieve the concept of developmental democracy that is comprehensive and which can achieve the aspired objective, which is fulfilling the different needs of these generations, and also preserve the resources of the future generations under the slogan of a comprehensive local development. I reiterate my thanks for the project, for this conference and the organizers, and also I convey the appreciation of the Minister of the Local Development, and that he wishes you a very fruitful conference. Thank you very much.
Well, we thank the General for his word. That's very inclusive. And now, Your Excellency, Ambassador Jess, Dutton, Ambassador of Canada in Cairo.
Sabah al-Khair. Good morning, everyone. I hope that's okay. There's a techie in the room that can fix the computer. Listen, I'm thrilled to be here today with all of you and the distinguished guests on the panel. I must say that attending events like these are really the highlight of my job as Ambassador of Canada in Egypt. Supporting women and girls is a priority of the Government of Canada around the world, and I'm very, very proud that it's something that we focus on here in Egypt. I've been able to travel to see Canadian projects in all parts of Egypt, from Aswan to Alexandria to Damietta to Red Sea, 6th of October, Hurghada, here in Cairo. I'm sure I'm missing a few places, but all that to say that it is the key priority of the Embassy of Canada, supporting women and girls here in Egypt. And that includes through our development program, through advocacy initiatives, through generating awareness, and of course, importantly, through celebrating success. Because there are some amazing, amazing women here on the panel and in this room, and Canada is very, very proud to partner with all of you. And I notice that we don't quite have a gender-based panel here today, but in this case, I'll view this as a positive thing, because women's economic empowerment isn't an issue for women alone. It's very, very important for men and for all societies, not only here in Egypt, but in every country around the world, including Canada. Women's economic empowerment, including helping them start a business, finding employment, training, childcare, and safe workplaces, yield strong economic returns, and is key for economic growth in every single country around the world. That's why Canada, in partnership with the Egyptian Center for Economic Studies and the National Council for Women, supported the development of the Egyptian Women's Entrepreneurship Guide. And I was able to take a look through the guide this morning, and it's really, really impressive, great use of technology, and the design is, I think, very, very easy for women across the country to follow and to learn. A notable characteristic of MSMEs and entrepreneurship in Egypt is the low participation of women in employment and business ownership. The unemployment rate is almost 30% for young people, with males at 21% and females at 46.8%. According to the most recent Global Entrepreneurship Monitor report, the proportion of Egyptian female entrepreneurs is the lowest in the Middle East and North Africa region and sub-Saharan African countries. Only 15% of businesses are owned by women. Despite the fact that female and male entrepreneurs operate in the same business environment, the challenges they face differ. Women are constrained by social and cultural barriers, a lack of access to information, lack of access to financial and non-financial services, lack of access to markets and technology and business networks. Women dominate the informal micro-enterprise sector, and yet the number that grow to become formal enterprises is low. These circumstances limit not only their personal growth prospects, but also the socio-economic development of Egypt as a whole. We're here today to launch the Women's Guide to promote women's economic empowerment by enabling women to have better access to resources and information to establish and expand a business. The Women's Business Guide specifically targets women, and we hope and expect it will not only help enhance their economic prosperity, but also help communities to prosper as well. The subject matter of this conference, women's economic empowerment, is at the core of Canada's development assistance in Egypt, as I had mentioned. Canada's programming is helping Egypt to support micro, small and medium enterprises, expand entrepreneurship, and boost the productivity of the private sector. The programming is also helping to create jobs. It supports a range of vocational, technical, and professional training programs available to young men and women, particularly in rural Egypt. Canada is implementing a new feminist international assistance policy, which calls for gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls. This does not limit the focus of our efforts to women and girls, of course. Rather, targeting them is the most effective way to fight the root causes of poverty that can affect everyone. Today's launching event was made possible by the strong partnerships with many partners, including the National Council of Women and the Ministry of Local Development. Both will be distributing the guide in all of its branches. I'm also thrilled that 4 female colleagues from the Embassy of Canada are here today who played a very important role in putting this together. I'd like to congratulate Dr. Abla and her team for their hard work in putting together this guide. Congratulations, which includes information at the national level and covering all the governorates. I hope it will build the women business leaders of tomorrow. In fact, I am sure it will. And given that ECES is a research institution and one of the leading global think tanks, I'm sure they will conduct a review a year from now to see how many jobs this has actually helped to create and how many women. Pardon me? And Canada is going to, yes, finance this because, as you know, we need, in order to, if we generate positive results from this, it will better enable us to leverage funding from other sectors as well, and of course encourage the government to perhaps fund it a little bit more. So thank you very much, everyone. I do see a few friends in the crowd from some of my travels and some of our support and some of our projects. Really thrilled to partner for this really important event, and just thrilled to be here. So shukran. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your words, and thank you for your financial support and for your commitment to future support as well. And I'd like to thank, in fact, all the panelists and for the introductory remarks. And now I'd like to ask Abla Dr. Abla to give us a few concluding remarks, and then we'll be moving to the first session that will be chaired by my colleague Tariq Tawfiq, the Vice Chairman of ECES and Vice Chairman of the Federation of Egyptian Industries. Abla.
In the name of God, the merciful and benevolent, Good morning. We are moving between English and Arabic because we are in Egypt, but we should talk also in Arabic and English. Thank you all. Thanks for the podium. We are very proud with the guide, and we will present it in the second session. I would like to say 2 points. I'm thanking the ambassador for the financial support. It should have been given because the follow-up is a big story. And the follow-up of the performance is something that we want to start as a tradition, because this is something that we don't do here in Egypt. We usually do something and don't follow it up, and so we couldn't guide it. The second thing is that my dear friend Marie-Louise has talked about the Waziftak project in Calliope, and she wants to do something like it, and this benefit, it's all the people, and it's from women only, and this it gives us a lot of pride. This is one of the very successful business models. The third thing that we usually say, because we are talking about women, men have managed this country long ago. Not only the country, but all the world. There were many problems, but now it's time that the women take over, and we will see what will happen. What's the difference?
I don't think any of us men will disagree with you.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Okay. Having said this, please, Tariq, please تفضل.
Please, Tariq Tawfiq, please take the floor to start the session.
I think I will call for an initiative for men as well. Huh?